everyone and welcome to my channel. My name is Hermione if you are new here, or if you're old here then welcome back. Today I'm going to be sharing some DIY projects with you that I'm really excited about because I love buying things secondhand, and these are all thrifted pieces that I've upcycled. I think there's a lot of joy in finding something really old and seeing its potential and being able to make it into something completely different. And you know, sometimes that can mean completely repurposing it, or sometimes it's simply just adding a lick of paint to make it look a bit more modern. So I have a bunch of home decor projects to show you today, so without further ado, let's just get into it.
A few months ago I found about 3 of these very small white rugs, and they were £1 each, so I snapped them all up and I've decided to show you guys how to transform them today into a tapestry like this one. I love the way it turned out and I think it's very anthropology inspired, so here's how I did it. To start this project, I decided to make the rug a little bit narrower, so to cut it down I folded it over and marked where I wanted to cut at the top and bottom, and then just went ahead and used that fold as a guideline where to cut. You know I love a good tassel, but the ones at the end of this rug were looking a little bit worse for wear, so I cut them off on the top and the bottom, and then I got my craft supplies ready to get going. To decorate the rug, I went ahead and added some fabric hot glue sticks to my glue gun and started gluing away. I added these tassels to the bottom to replace the old ones that I cut off, and I also added other things like braided twine and wool and loads of kind of natural looking fibers. For this project, I really wanted to contrast those natural textures with some very glitzy sequins. So I've got lots of wool and twine going on, but I've also got lots of silver glitter sequins going on too. All of these ribbon and lace bundles were things that I've had stored for a really long time and I've been hoarding them. It's pretty bad, but you can probably find stuff like this in your local fabric store. If you end up running out of things to put on your tapestry, you can also braid some wool and make some really interesting textures that way. When I had finished, I flipped it over and added a dowel to the top of the tapestry. To do this, I folded over the edge of the rug and used my glue again and just glued this in place, making sure that that dowel could still move. And of course, to hang it on the wall, as always, I just added another piece of wool and tied this quite tightly and then put it up on the wall. And that's how I turned a plain rug into an anthropology-inspired tapestry. My next find was this really cool wooden bowl that I found for £1, and I've not known what to do with it for a long time. So in this video, I wanted to show you how I made it into a really cute little cactus garden. And don't worry, you can use any kind of bowl for this as long as it's big enough to fit a few of your cactus plants in. I wanted to make this into a hanging cactus garden, so I'm using some really fun coloured string that I bought a while ago from Michael's. So I'm just measuring out 4 separate strands that are the same length and cutting them to size. I tied all of the ends in a really tight knot and left a good 2 to 3 inches of string at the end of the knot because I'm going to be adding a bead later. Using a shower curtain ring that was, you guessed it, from a charity shop for 10 pence, I ended up tying the ends of the strings to the ring. Each time I added a new one, I made sure to pull it tight to make sure that they were all the same length. And I also added a little bit of hot glue on all of the knots just to make sure that they weren't going to come undone. Going back to the other end for a bit of decoration, I added this golden bead to the strings, and guess what? This was from the charity shop too. I found a big packet of beads for £2.50. Going back to the bowl, because there's no drainage on my bowl, I'm adding some gravel that I got from the driveway, and this will help to make sure that the roots of your plants don't go moldy and then they won't die. And also I'm using desert cactus soil for this, just to give them the perfect place to live. Once I'd added enough soil, I then went ahead and potted my plants. To do this, I made sure to break apart the ends of the soil that they were already in, just to give the roots a little space to grow into the new container. Once I was happy with the arrangement and I'd pressed the soil firmly down, I went ahead and added my bowl to the hanging device thing that I just made and hung it up. So just because you find a cool bowl doesn't mean you have to use it to store fruit. You can do so many different things with it. Next up are these napkin rings, and I found a bunch of 6 of these for £1. So I decided to turn them into teeny tiny little plant pots for my fake succulents. There's definitely a few too many plant related things in this video, but this one's great if you think you might accidentally kill your succulent or cactus plants because these are fake. So I took 3 of the napkin rings and made sure that my plants fit in them nice and snug, and then I went ahead and decorated them. For this, I'm using this relief paint. I picked a few different complementary colours and I made some varying abstract designs. Once you're done, go ahead and let them dry as per the instructions, and then you can put your fake succulents inside them and display them wherever you'd like. If you want, for a little bit of added security, you can always glue your succulents in too. And lastly, I have this tray. I saw so much potential in this tray. I love how mid-century modern it looks. I love the gold handles and the wood, but I wasn't too keen on the floral pattern and the fact that it was really old and kind of gross, so I transformed it to look like this. To start the transformation, of course, I cleaned it because it wasn't super clean. I recommend you do this with anything you find secondhand. Then, because this was completely on the fly, I played around with a few different methods of how I could upcycle this. This contact paper was cool, it was from Poundland, but it didn't really go very well with the wood that was already there. I then decided to paint the bottom a light grey, but this was kind of boring, so in the end I decided to go over it with this wrapping paper that I got from Paper Chase. Because it had a very specific pattern, I wanted to make sure that this pattern was centered, so I measured the measurements of my tray and put them onto the wrapping paper and then cut it out. Once that was done, I made sure that it fit nice and snug in the tray, and then I realized there was a tiny little bit of white on the sides, so I went in with some black paint and a very small detail brush and went along the sides to make sure that it would blend really nicely with the paper. Once that was dry, I added a coat of Mod Podge, and actually I would probably recommend a different kind of adhesive like spray adhesive because Mod Podge does have the tendency to wrinkle a little bit. Unfortunately, I don't have any spray adhesive to hand, so I went ahead with the Mod Podge and then very carefully put my wrapping paper on top and smoothed it down with my hands. And this is how it turned out. Can you believe that this only cost me £2 originally? I'm really pleased with the colours and the pattern on it, and I can't wait to style this up around my room.
That is everything I have to share with you guys in this video today. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope it inspired you to go out and look in like thrift stores, charity shops, secondhand stores, and find some really cool older pieces and make them look really new. Anyway, I hope you guys have a great week. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in my next one. Bye!